Good afternoon, Charlie. Yes, thank you for having me here in your massive loft.
No worries.
Yeah, tell me something how you began with this hobby.
I started in 1978. I was obviously a young fella, and me auntie had a holiday house up in Rosebud, or down in Rosebud, and being a young bloke with nothing to do, I sort of walked around the streets and I saw these birds flying around, and I saw on a bit of a mound in the backyard. There was a vacant block. I remember standing on this bit of a mound looking at these pigeons, and the guy actually seen me. So he put his head over the fence. He goes, "Do you like the birds?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, come up with your dad." So that night, me and my dad went over there, and he gave us a couple of birds, a couple of pairs. And then 79, we actually started racing with the Victorian Racing.
79, yeah.
Victorian Racing Pigeon Union, and kept going ever since.
Oh, way back then, do you have about how many members in the union? You can remember?
Back then, there was probably about 130, 140 members back then, yeah. It was a pretty big organisation.
Have you always been with the union?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah. Because I've done several photos, you like 3 years in a row, you'd always have a winner with the Fed. What family of birds do you started with, and what family of birds do you have now?
I started with a lot of pigeons, a lot of different pigeons. You name it, I had them. I tried everything. And I was very lucky that throughout the years, there was something that clicked for me. And I got in most of the feds. So I got in the short distance and I got in the long distance. Obviously you have your good years and your bad year. But back then, like I said, it was just mixed. It was just whatever I had. There was sales. There, buy a couple of pair here, try them, try to breed off the better ones, or as they say. But recent years, I've got a good friend of mine, Steve Saney. He gave me a few pairs to breed off. Plus, I've got another good friend of mine who breeds me pigeons every year, Andre Martins, and he actually bred me a few birds that I raced, and 3 of them won me feds. So, and then last year, or the year before, I bred him a bird and won him a fed. So we're sort of getting not even yet, but yeah, and I've been going good since. So we'll see how we go next year and this year.
Yeah, I know that you're with the Kilmore Club. So how many members and what are the activities that you have in the club at the moment, especially for this year?
We've got five flying members. We've got 7 members. We conduct one-theggy races, which has now been going. This is our 2nd year. We've got a few sponsors. We've got local businesses involved. We've got last year we've had 13 local businesses that were involved in competing with each other. And this year we're trying something different, where they're actually allocated 5 pigeons from my loft. And they're getting 50% of the prize money, and they're actually racing under their own name. So far I've got 6 people that are interested in like a one loft race from my own loft for the one-theggies, as well as the 13 sponsors, as well as our 5 members in our club, plus we have our federation members that do also want to compete in these races. So we're going to end up with probably a minimum of 20 people competing in this so-called one-theggy 8-bird series, or 8 race series I should say. It's a 5 or 10 bird limit. 10 bird limit to a person who has racing pigeons, or who actually races, and the guys that don't have pigeons and get pigeons off, like myself, my loft, they're allocated 5 birds.
In terms of racing, what do you have a system like widowhood, separate cocks and hens, or just with a natural mix?
Every year I try something different. I either keep them together, and if they're going well, I just leave them. A couple of times I have separated the cocks from the hens later down the track. But again, it depends on the birds. If I see that everything's going okay, I'd leave them. If I start going backwards, I'll try something different and split them up, and hopefully it might make them, what's the word, especially the cocks. I won't leave the hens alone. Yeah, just leave them in peace, yeah?
Okay, you have a really nice, well-constructed loft. Who made this, and what's the size, and how many birds does it house?
Well, I built this cage. I started off with a probably what would it be, 3 metre wide by 10 metres long. But I since then put a corridor, which give me another 1200. Then I put a fly out at the front. So I've got 1, 2, 3, it's about 6 metres deep by 10 metres long. I've got my race birds, and I've also got the stock birds at the other end. It probably houses, I can get 200 pigeons in here if I really want to get 200 pigeons in here, but obviously I try and not to have too many.
And Charlie, in terms of feeding, what feeding do you do during breeding and also during race time?
Start off with breeding. Breeding, they get mainly peas. I do feed them some pellets, but mainly peas. That's their main feed. When I'm racing, I give them a race mix, mainly a heavy race mix, and I put a depurative sometimes, so I'll mix it. Again, I'll see, depends on how the birds are flying during the week. If I keep it just all race mix, or I'll put the depurative or 50-50, or just have the depurative. So again, it depends on how they're travelling.
Yeah. Also, one feature of your loft that I forgot to ask is you have here a built-in conveyor on the flooring. If they can see it in the video later. Whose idea was it, and how much does it cost roughly?
Unfortunately, with a lot of things I do here, it's my idea, and I've got a good friend of mine that calls me the ideas man, because every time he comes here, he's always seen something that I've done that he's pretty shocked. So yeah, I come up with the conveyor, only simply because I've got to go into a back operation. I've had a bad back for a few years now, and it was getting to the stage where I couldn't even get to the ground or scrape, and I was very close of not even having pigeons, because we all know that it's good to keep them clean, and on race day it's very important that they're clean, and you know, I was struggling. So my loft now is designed to make it maintenance or cleaning less as possible. I've got shelves everywhere where the birds go up when I want to catch them. I can put them up there on race day or basketing night and catch them nice and easy. And the same with the wire floor. It all goes down the end, as you'll see, and it just makes everything nice and easy.
How about in terms of medication or supplements? Do you give any?
Well, as we speak, we're in May now, and the birds have just had their second toss yesterday, and I have not given no medication at all. I've given them some worming, but I'm trying to hold off as much as I can. The birds are flying really well, so until they show me that there's a problem, I'll then do something about it. But at the moment, I'm trying to hold off to try and get their immune system as strong as I can. And the birds are looking good. I did have a couple that were pretty funny looking at one stage, but obviously they don't last long. So you keep the best. Yeah, so far so good.
You mentioned a while ago about tossing. Do you have a format with tossing on what's the distance you start with and up to?
The first distance I've done the last few years. The first toss is usually just to train him into the unit, to get him into the unit, to get him to go through the chute, get him settled, and then I'll just go up the road, probably 2 streets away, and just let him go, just to break him out of that unit a couple of times, and then they'll get a 30k toss, a straight 30k.
How about during the racing season, like
racing season?
Yeah,
They'll get
mid-season.
They'll get 1 or 2 tosses a week. I usually take them up to Shepherd and Turnoff up here on a Sunday, or I'll take them south, probably go to Altona or somewhere there during the week. Again, depending on how they are and how they're flying, and if they're doing everything else well, I'll just keep them the way they are.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I know you've been very helpful with beginners like me, and if I can ask, what advice could you give to beginners out there or anyone starting with pigeons?
I mean, my biggest, I was a beginner once, and I don't like to see people come into a sport and then just leave. With pigeon racing, you'll know it's a pretty big, it's a 365-day a year. Constant feeding, looking after them. Okay, you don't have to clean them every day, but you gotta, they're pets, they're animals. You gotta try and do as, you got a routine that you gotta keep. As for people joining and expense, there's a lot of things and a lot of issues that you need to do to race your pigeons, and the amount of money that it costs you to be big like this is something that you got to have it as a kid. You can't just all of a sudden, a 30-year-old want to start racing pigeons, because there's a lot of outlay. So what I'm saying is, start off very small, just have fun, breed a handful of birds, and take it from there. Even you've got to send 5 a week, as long as you can take part. Right, but don't think that you're going to get pigeons and you're going to start winning every week. It'd be good if you do. It's a bonus. We all want to win, but unfortunately, if you've got 10 blokes in the club, we can't all win. So, and one day, which I've done plenty of times, is hit the bottom. So what I do is I turn the fed result upside down when I get home, make it get, feel a bit better. But yeah, it's very important just to try and enjoy it as much as you can. Don't breed too many pigeons, as we know, but obviously we do. But if you want to race, start off with a very small amount of birds, and start very small. Don't go over the top, and then just enjoy it. Okay,
before we finish, I'll give you a chance to invite them to join the Wonthaggi race for this year.
The Wonthaggi's have been good. We've had people that are not racing, that don't race pigeons, that are actually are competing. They get 5 birds out of my loft. They get 50% of the prize money. They get their own name in the result, and also in the local paper. So they're actually racing pigeons without actually owning any pigeons. Right? They pay a $20 fee, which we charge them. It's a $3 a bird. So you get $5 5 birds, and then you got a $5 loft mob every week for 8 weeks. And they come, they have a barbecue, they get to watch the birds, and then that's it. They don't have to worry about cleaning them, feeding them, nothing. I do all that, but they're having fun. And last year was a good start, and the same people are in it this year, and we've actually got more again. So it's something that it's good for pigeon racing, where we're a backup club, where we're trying to get people involved that are old, people that don't really afford pigeons or can't afford to race pigeons, or have retired from pigeons. Just gives them that interest. So we're coming up with another concept next year regarding what we can do when you're clocking a pigeon, which will probably come up very soon. I think I spoke to you about it before, the way to clock birds and stuff for next year, and to keep it cheaper again. So we'll just see what happens.
Yep. So yeah, just to remind them that they can contact you either on Facebook with your Kilmore Club page.
Kilmore Invitational Racing Pigeon Club. Follow us on Facebook. Everything's on there. Or you can give me a call, and then we can take it from there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Charlie, and good luck. And hope to visit you again.